Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. And in this video I'm going to review Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus. Looking back to the Miley Cyrus catalog, I realized that she's one of those pop artists that never really actually managed to make a standout album. Most of the stuff in her career are just average at the best. At its worst, we're actually talking about some pretty obnoxious and unimaginative crap in the pop scene. One thing that can be said for sure about Miley Cyrus though is that with every single album she makes, she always goes into something new, and she's made numerous different stuff. But pretty much in anything that she did, it never actually led to something compelling. Like we got some pretty disastrous results with albums like Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets, and an uninspiring country pop direction with the sound of Younger Now. But with some of her more recent material is where I saw that some of the stuff she put out might have some potential. I actually pretty enjoyed the EP of last year She's Coming. Even if it was all over the place and had some corny stuff in it, I actually do ended up enjoying this particular project. I also really enjoyed her contribution on the soundtrack of Black Mirror with her persona as Ashley O. Now with Plastic Hearts we see Miley Cyrus going into a more pop rock oriented direction, but also with some elements of synthpop, an 80s aesthetic that in some occasions it can also go into some synthwave passages, which is something that we've seen a lot happening with mainstream pop artists this year, and Miley Cyrus just decided not to stay out of this and make her own contribution into this new trend of sound, which in my opinion did make for some compelling results with mainstream pop albums of this year. This 80s synthwave aesthetic really managed to put a refreshing tone in numerous mainstream pop releases. Now, what I would say about Plastic Hearts is that it pretty much takes the formula from some of her contemporaries with some elements of rock, and in some occasions the album might sound a bit rough. The vocal performance of Miley Cyrus is not impressive, which is something that was the case with pretty much everything she has done, despite having some rough segments though and feeling a bit dated and standard with the whole production choice. I believe that this is possibly the best full-length album we've heard from Miley Cyrus so far. Now this by itself doesn't really say a lot, as the majority of the stuff she has done I find it to be disastrous, but this is the first time I truly see potential and some good stuff from a full-length Miley Cyrus project, which is the first time where I actually see a growth as an artist. This is without a doubt her most mature work, with some of the most compelling stuff she has ever done in her entire career, and there are honestly so many moments over here that are really fun and catchy, with all of those elements of rock and synthpop music just being fused nicely together in some occasions. There was not a moment over here that amazed me, but there was also not a moment that felt like an abomination. This album makes a really solid introduction with a track What the Fuck Do I Know, which I find that it's one of the catchiest moments over here. It has a really nice beat and instrumentation to it. Then we get to the self-titled track Plastic Hearts, which when it starts it put me a bit off guard. This instrumentation was not what I expected at all, but when the chorus comes it's actually pretty energetic, quite epic, and we do get lots of these moments as we go further into the album. But with those two tracks I do think we get some of the nicest and catchiest and most addictive choruses out of this. The first track I actually felt it was a bit weak was one of the teaser tracks, which was Prisoner featuring Dua Lipa. Even if we got a really interesting direction of synth pop and synthwave with the latest release of Dua Lipa, I don't feel like her contribution over here is that that great, which is something that I would say with pretty much all of the features over here. We have few features, but none of them really stand out in the songs. Prisoner was one of the more forgettable tracks in my opinion, and I would also possibly say the same with Night Crawling featuring Billy Idol. Midnight Sky was the main teaser track and it's possibly my favorite moment out of this album. This is the one track that goes the closest to this old school aesthetic. It has a nice throwback sound and I do like the whole energy of this track. The chorus is really nice. It is a really catchy, really fun track that truly stands out as one of the best things we've heard from Miley Cyrus so far. As we go further into this album, we get a few more laid back moments. Some tracks over here feel like sort of ballads, but they do have some nice epic moments to them. The only other track that I didn't really see enjoying that much was the track Never Be Me, and when I first heard of this album I had a much more negative opinion to it. I thought it was a really average work, but when I listened to this again and paid a bit more attention, I actually saw that many of the moments over here were quite catchy and having some really memorable moments to them. Of course, this does not make it an amazing album because, like I said, I think it suffers a bit when it comes to the performances and some of the elements of the production. For the most part, the instrumentals over here feel pretty safe, by the numbers, really standard stuff, but at the end of the day, the result, it's not that bad. Finally, we have 3 additional tracks, with one of them being a Midnight Sky remix called Edge of Midnight, which it doesn't really feel like a remix because there are such few portions out of this song that feel a bit different. It's almost the same song with just a few change-ups here and there. And then the album ends with 2 live tracks, which both of them are covers. The one of them is a cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass and the other one is a cover of Zombie by Cranberries. Both really amazing tracks, and I would say that in some occasions the overall instrumentation, the performance, the production can be a bit rough. However, the ending result could have definitely been worse. I actually enjoyed those 2 covers, they were not that bad. So with that being said, Plastic Hearts feels like the greatest musical achievement from Miley Cyrus in her entire career so far, which by itself it doesn't really say all that much, as I do find that in some occasions the album can be kind of weak, but it's nice to see improvements, and this is the first time where I sense an improvement in a full-length Miley Cyrus album. I'm going to give Plastic Hearts a 6- out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.